Hello, welcome back. So another beautiful New England day. It's unbelievable. Weather's been incredible. I hope it stays like that when we try to do our test flight, but no, New England probably not. Anyway, back at the hangar, and where we left off was the skylight, and my question was, I want to put this cross rib right here, which the skylight sits perfect per measurements, nice fit all around, but it would require me to cut 7/8 of an inch off. So I did put a post out there on Facebook in the RANS builders group and got some nice response. I've seen people cut like a 1/4 inch, and I guess some have even cut 3/8, but nobody's ever cut that much. So right here from Tony himself, I was asking if I can cut 7/8 off the trailing edge, and he said 100%. We set the cross tube just in front of the sight gauge fittings to make sure there's good clearance and all is good. So today I am going to cut that acrylic 7/8 off the back of the skylight, the windshield, and that will let me, if I said skylight before I meant windshield, the windshield being obviously the front one and the skylight just being the Lexan panel in the back. So I'm going to cut 7/8 off of that, get that set in there, and then work on cutting the skylight. That's the skylight. All right, here we go. All right, that was pretty uneventful. I cut it with my Dremel tool with this thin cut wheel. Now, I gotta be honest, I'm not afraid to cut acrylic on the table saw, which is what I normally do, but the instructions kind of scared you because of chatter, and yeah, I know it can break. I would not use a jigsaw. This actually worked great, plus it's an awkward shape to hold. And my tool, like, when I got towards the end, got kind of hot, but it was fine, and then I just sanded a little bit with that. All right, it's a beautiful thing. You got the windshield clamped back into its original space, and these lined up exactly where I wanted them to. That can obviously go forward a little bit. I think now I'm gonna clip the skylight in, Cleco them into here, and line them up with this. Remember, I have these just double-sided taped down because if I lay the skylight on top of these with Clecos, they're gonna get in the way. So I was kind of confused on that. I'm gonna remove those spacers and make it go 1.5 inches beyond the top tail skin, and that should be the cut lines for the skylight. Okay, I'm gonna guess this is what I would consider an important step. So you want to make sure that this is lined back up into position, 1.5 inches back from the front of this tab to the edge of that cutout for the glass. I did mark it on here, so I kind of know just with a magic marker I end up in the same spot. Then I want to make sure that these are down, so it's not like bowing. And then basically Cleco this with the pre-drilled holes to the cross brace. And I had some 1/8 inch spacers, but then I found some plastic that's just a hair bit thinner, and for some reason I like it better. So I'm moving this up, you know, so it's tight up against here, tight up against there, and tight up against there, also making sure that that side doesn't bow. And now I can take this line and the back line, cut that, and then I'll cut the 1.5 inch overhang on the end. I ended up using one of these aluminum strips because this guy is a little too stiff and would put unnecessary tension on it, so that worked great. So basically just marked it here, marked it there. The gap I have in there is, I mean, call it an 8 with the tape on that plastic, but another worthwhile measurement is, assuming this is this comes out good and I'm not doing anything wrong. If not, it'll be a measurement to what not to do. But from the leading edge, the trailing top edge of the front D-spar, I have the cross brace exactly between 13 and 14 inches. So I just double check, make sure it was same on left and right. And I think this will just run through the table saw. As you can tell, I opted to cut it with my trusty old jigsaw. Primary reason is, I don't know, it was easier on the bench, and I had new blades for that. And that guy, I've been cutting aluminum with that blade, so let's see if it fits. Look at that. Fits like a freshly cut skylight. I think that's a good thing. Got my gap up there. Just gonna double check everything and make sure nothing moved, windshield, so on and so forth. That the cross brace is where I want it. The left and right is semi the same. And then according to these rivets, this looks pretty much the same, even though they weren't parallel to begin with. But I'll mark and cut that 1.5 inch overhang. So my distance from this back edge to there, and remember I moved the bar forward more than most, is 34.25, and that gives me the 1.5 inch overhang down here. Something worth noting is, I mean, it's down to like the 16th or 32nds on each side, but I did end up scooching this back just a little bit more because it leveled that out. I kind of compromised it. Like it made these rivet holes, the second one in on the boot cowl, line up a little bit better, made this gap a little bit less. So what I'm saying is I just moved this side of the windshield back just a smidgen, and also made this gap a little more even. So I'm sure everybody's is a little different, but that's how it worked out for me. Next, they want you to mark where the ribs are, easy to see with the shadow, and then peel the coating off. I guess we're going to put those strips in. So I was trying to figure out how to get this strip out without peeling all of it off so I can cut it. And that worked pretty good. I basically just kept dripping it down the middle, then peel it back and slice it. And then I like to put some lubricant on it. It kind of just helps it keep it from scratching, or at least the dry scratching. Sorry, lubricant being like a detail spray or something. Okie doke, got it all clecoed in with the trim strips here. I got that. The instructions don't say to put the spacers in yet, not sure why, but I didn't. And probably just because it's complicated and unnecessary. And now I'm gonna work on putting these guys into here, I think. I gotta trim this a little shorter up there. That mark is 1/4 inch back from this strip, and they want you to basically start it there and then drill it and cleco it on the center line. So I kind of just gonna eyeball it right through measure it and mark the center line with a magic marker onto the acrylic or the polycarbonate, and then go that way. The little floppy strip came in handy again. I was using that to try and connect the center line where I'd measured it, and I realized it didn't line up. Now I know that is straight, but I also realized that this was kind of arching this way a little bit, so I made a 3¼ inch, just a little spacer to push it over there. Now the center line's perfect and I can drill it. amazing how long it takes to drill a couple of holes. Oh, back to 89. It was 90 before. Getting hot up here. One more to go. I don't know if it's the heat or if I'm just confused or whatever, but the next step is fabricate and drill aft mating strip per figure 10G22. So our manual does not have a figures 10G22. It goes from 20 to 23. And I looked online. There's no figure 10G22 unless I'm doing something really, really wrong. And I also don't know what an aft mating strip is. The only thing I have is an aft trim strip. And after my confusion earlier with the spacer and the trim strips, I'm cautious. But I'm suspecting they're talking about the last piece that goes on there, and you got to just drill some rivets around, some holes around that. But I'm going to skip that for now, do some research. I might actually go home because it's getting kind of hot. But I'll take a look at these Z strips. I already had them in once in the last video or the video before that, but I didn't have them with the spacer, so I'm going to go do that. All right, unless I come up with something better, Whiskey Sierra, Sierra, Lima Sierra. It's got to be the aft trim strip. That guy right there, number 4. But I'm gonna go look at some pictures on build logs and so on. But for now, I'm gonna call it a day. Pretty productive, really happy with how it came out. Always surprised that it does take a little bit longer. So even though I thought I measured this, by the time you put it in, this ended up, a little bit further back. But I'm okay with that because that'll allow me more clearance for these rivet heads underneath there as I rivet that in with that Whiskey Sierra strip. What did we learn? It's kind of hard to stretch over the middle. It's not hard, just it's tall. You need a ladder. The double-sided tape, yep, that worked. This, center it. Make sure that the ribs are actually straight, or parallel this way. Like this one was arched over a little bit, so I put a spacer in there just to nudge it. Left and right is not 100%, and I also ended up moving the windshield back a little bit on that side just to average it out, so it's straight back here. The upper trim strips do not cover the actual tubes if you cut them where they're supposed to. Not a big deal. And yeah, I guess my biggest deviation is moving this up, cutting the windshield like I did early in the beginning of the video, and I like it. I recommend it. So far so good. I guess this is the video on how to put all of the windshield and skylight hold down strips on. I got that one done too. I actually did not. I just used a regular drill bit. I always have. You just go slow. I didn't use an acrylic drill bit because I went right through this, in this case the polycarbonated Lexan, and into the steel tube, and then the same thing up there. When I open it up to the number 20 or whatever it is, I do have some acrylic drill bits, so I'll use it there. But the regular one, if you go slow and it's not super sharp, works just fine. And the temperature being as hot as it was today, high 80s, even over 90, certainly helped. Okay, enough with the babbling. I am going home. Enjoy the video. I'll try and get this uploaded. And the next step, well, I got these Z strips on with the little spacers. It does say that you need to make a modification for the gusset up here. You can kind of just stick it under it and it does fit. So I'm gonna take a look at what some of the other builders do in relation to how high or how low it is there, like if it's just supposed to be centered, but it fits without modification. And I didn't do any of the bending yet, but yeah, working on that. So after I figure out that rear aft Whiskey Sierra strip, I think we're going to be working on the windshield, the fiberglass strip that looks like was up next. All right, for now, good night, enjoy, thank you for watching. Hope it's helpful, but remember, not instructions, it's just me monkeying around, and happy building. See ya.